right, another question from one of our Patreon supporters is from Glenn, and he says, I am still a little stuck on why the LCS would want an individuated unit of consciousness to know the big picture. I heard you recently explain that why we're not imbued with this knowledge at birth is because we would use it to cheat the system, which defeats the object. And those that are mature enough to incorporate the information without deficit is due to their evolved inclination. But I think any knowledge at all will influence individuals' decision making in even subtle or subconscious ways that will affect the quality or efficiency of results. This is surely self-harm to the LCS, no? I've tried to think of scenarios where people with your understanding, you say even shown by the LCS, could in any way be beneficial. I have thought of only one thing so far, and that is something has gone wrong somewhere and the rules have to be bent in order to fix something that would be more detrimental than the IUOCs diminishing their yield. I would love to hear your take on why the LCS chose to give you this understanding, why your soul, I don't know what you would call that, would choose this game for you to play. How do you know that the right, if you will, choice for you was to be given all this information and choose not to share it? Even if, let's say, there was someone that could absorb this information and it not actually affect their decisions, making what is the reason for them knowing. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
It seems to be looking at two things that appear to be not compatible. One, you have the concept of psi uncertainty that says the system would like to hide psi from the masses so that it doesn't get abused. And that's why psi always has to have some uncertainty around it so that there's probable deniability all the time. On the other hand, we have people like Tom Campbell who goes around explaining psi and how psi works and what psi is, and telling people about the nature of reality and about how you can modify future probability with your intent. So these two things seem to be at cross purposes to each other. Well, in a way they are, but in the bigger picture, they are not. In the bigger picture, they're both strategies to help consciousness evolve positively. Okay, now we have a psi uncertainty that says people need to grow up and learn these things on their own, in their own way, and in their own time. Teach people how to modify future probability with your intent was likely to teach them to do that for their own egoic and reasons, and for reasons of fear, things that are counterproductive. Well, that's true, but there's limitations put on that. The people who would use those for nefarious purposes are also people who are limited. They're self-limited because by their very fear and negativity, they can't assemble but so much power. The fear and negativity is self-defeating. So it's kind of self-regulating on that side. So while that's true, there's another thing that's true as well. The system is encourage all of us to grow up, and understanding the nature of reality, how reality works and what it's about, is an important part of that growth. As you understand these things, you tend to see yourself as a small part of something much larger. Your ego kinds to whittle away. Your self-importance starts to disappear as you have a clearer and clearer picture of what reality is really like and your place in it. So the system would like to do both, but it would like to do both such that neither one causes problems and both of them are helpful. So now the people who are going to listen to Tom Campbell's talks are generally not the people who are going to abuse the information that Tom Campbell talks about. These are people who are seekers. They're looking for answers. They're looking to find out about that very strange paranormal experience that happened to them. And did it really happen? Were they just going insane? What was that? And why did it happen that way? So they become seekers and they get on the internet and they start looking for things. And they finally end up at Tom Campbell's shop and they find out how those things work. So that's good. That will help them grow. They'll find out that love is the answer, that they have a mission here to become love. And they'll understand many of the paradoxes that now exist in our sciences and social sciences and philosophy, even in theology. They'll find they understand them now. So their understanding grows a lot deeper as they themselves become more positive beings. That's good. So for that reason, the system is willing to reveal all. Let them see how it works, what's behind the curtain. Other people, it just assumed that they didn't see all. So both strategies are there. And one of them is talking about the masses. All right. So if you have all the networks, on George, who can by himself levitate a box of rocks, when all the media are there, the rocks just stay on the ground. Psi uncertainty principle says the rocks have to stay on the ground. Unless you can convince people that all the networks are in cahoots to trick the listeners, then that would be a way out. But if that's not feasible, then the box of rocks will stay on the ground. So those people, just the masses in general, would take in a lot of people who might abuse the information. The people who come to MBT website, look at the website, read some about it, and then stay there, and then go to some of the events and, read the books. These are people who need the information to grow up. So between the two, they're not the same people. They're different people. Now, could some strays from one group to the other? Yes, some stray from one group to the other, but it's not a big enough amount to make any difference. So yes, people that end up in MBT could be some high entropy people end up there too. All that happens, but it's not in a large enough numbers that it actually creates a problem. So the two things seem incompatible, but they really have two different sets of people interacting with them. And it just depends on how both of them can help lower the entropy of the system. Keeping knowledge out of the hands of abusers, well, that lowers entropy. Giving knowledge to effective users, well, that lowers entropy too. There's no way to be perfect about sorting who gets what. So cross connects just happen, and they're not that many to worry about. So I think that's what's going on. So they both are true at the same time. And there's not really a conflict between them. Both are valuable at the same time, and both are actually working and doing their job at the same time. In the most part, probably the 90%, they're different sets of people. He did say at the end, he kind of asked a little different question at the end. He said, how does Tom Campbell know that he was supposed to talk about this stuff, not keep his mouth shut?
Yes.
Well, once you're in this area a while, your intuition starts to get better and better. You develop your intuitive side. And in general, you know what it is you're supposed to do intuitively. It's not an intellectual choice. You don't say, I should do this because, and give a bunch of good intellectual points. You just know what it is you need to do, and you go do it. and you check in with the source, with the LCS from time to time to see how you're doing. And as long as you're doing okay and the LCS is happy with your work, then you keep on doing it. So there is no way to know for sure. So how did I know that I should speak up and not be quiet? I don't know for sure. Nobody ever gets 100% surety about anything that happens here. But you have a good idea of what it is you're supposed to do and what direction you're supposed to take.
Well, you had a
And
sense of a mission
yes,
also, which is a little bit different than most people. And it wasn't handed to you, this information. You had to work very hard. Being right-brained at first, having to switch into a left-brain mode to learn physics, and being dyslexic in addition to that, the challenges were enormous. So your knowledge was gained and your experience was gained at a very high cost. And all of those things fell into place. The mission, how you needed to learn, and the right brain abilities and exploring consciousness was very well earned. And when you have that much experience, you need to share it. That was your total, your gift, your, as I understand it. Is that
yeah.
about right?
Well, it not only had to be earned, but it also, well earned, it also was well nudged all along the way. I would get nudges about things I needed to do. I'd get nudges about where I needed to go. And sometimes the nudges were more like a kick in the seat of the pants than little gentle nudges. But you realize that the system has set you up to succeed along a certain path. And just doors automatically open just when you need them to. So all of that would not have happened that way without the very active assent and help of the larger consciousness system. Though I don't know for 100% sure, I'm very, very sure, maybe 99.99999% that I'm doing the right thing and on the right path, and this is what I needed to do. This is what I was
And
meant
there
to
was
do.
free will at every corner.
Yes,
So that was not forced upon you. That was something you knew intuitively that you should do. But there's always that element of free will.
yes, that is true. I've had so many things that just fell into place, the right place at the right time, and so on, that I am not certain, but very, very, very sure that the path I'm on is the one that was laid out for me to be on, or I wouldn't have had all this help to get here.
Well, in addition, this isn't the first path of this type that you have taken on. This has been pretty much over several life experience packets, what you do. Is that
That's
right?
true.
Okay.
Yes, that is correct. Seems to be my career.
Well, there it is. Thank you for answering that.
Mhm.
Love is the answer. If there's one way to discover this truth that Tom Campbell, physicist and consciousness expert, has concluded, it is through your own experience. Give yourself the gift of experiencing yourself. After all, Tom has stated so many times that if it's not your experience, it's not your truth. So learn to experience with Tom's Exploring Consciousness and Everything Paranormal program and unlock those natural abilities for yourself. Discover why love is the answer. Binaural beats included to assist you. Details are in the description below. Thank you.
I and MBT Events hope you like this video. If you do, then you should consider being a Patreon member. because Patreon members get early access to our special content. You will also be able to get your questions answered by me in special Q&A sessions, and most importantly, your contribution as a patron member will enable us to produce the content that you're looking for. So thank you.